everyone. Welcome to the Romeo Planning Commission meeting for January 6, 2022. Happy New Year to everybody, and we'll begin with roll call.
Stegner?
Here.
Grandstaff?
Here.
Hall, no. Kerr?
Here.
Stevens?
Here.
Fowler?
Yes.
Foltz?
Here.
Webb?
Here.
And Smiles.
Here.
All right, so we move on to approval of last month's agenda.
I make a motion that we approve last month's agenda.
Support.
Okay. Motion on the table is to approve last month's agenda. All in favor?
Aye. No need support.
I believe it's unanimous, Cindy.
Thank you.
And now, I do that backwards
Yeah,
every
it's
month.
The approval of this today's
It's the
agenda.
approval of this agenda. I don't know why I do that.
Zach, are you approving this agenda?
Yes. Thank you, Cindy.
Okay, so,
We
no-
need guidance every now and then.
I don't know why I do that, but I do it.
First of the year, right?
Okay, so what did we just do? We approve the agenda?
Yeah, we need
For
to
tonight?
approve the meeting minutes from
Okay,
December
so,
2nd.
anybody have any changes I wasn't here, so,
Nor was I.
okay, if somebody, you want to make a motion again?
I'll make that motion.
Support. Motion on the table is to approve the meeting minutes from December 2nd, 2021. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I believe that's unanimous as well. Public forum. Anybody like to say something?
I do, maybe I'm it, I don't know, I think everybody else is on the agenda. Hi, good evening, Elizabeth Miller, I'm the Executive Director for your Romeo DDA, Downtown Development Authority. Some of you I know well over the years, some of you have never met before, so thank you for having me. I just thought I'd take just a brief opportunity to talk with you tonight about one of the pressing matters that we have at the DDA and also that the village has, and that is parking. A parking study that you may or may not know that the DDA paid to have completed was just done about a month ago, and we're working on getting together to collaborating to optimize and put into a progressive plan to come up with some viable implementation solutions for our parking situation. What we found from this study is that there is not as much actual public parking that we thought there was. An enormous amount of it is private. There is some that's village owned and there's some that's public. What I'd like to see happen is that there be one or two members from your board, a few members from my board on the DDA, the village council, to get together to look at all this data and then go back to our respective boards to say, let's work together on this. How do we make a solution? The reason why I'm coming to you as a planning commission is as you're working, as developers are coming to you, as people are coming to you with projects and ideas to say, we'd like to do this within the village, what we're finding over and over again is that people who want to put, say, at Airbnb, they need parking spots. There aren't any. People who want to put in a new restaurant, if there isn't collaborative parking solutions, they can't bring that business to Romeo. So I'm asking, and I don't want to put you on the spot and ask you to do this tonight, but reach out to me, please. I'm right in the village hall. I'm upstairs out there. My phone number is on a lot of information. I have cards I can leave with you if you'd like. But I'm interested. If you had more than two people from your board, that'd be awesome. But I'd like to work together with the row engineers to look at the data and come up with some solutions, again, that we can go back to our respective boards. The second thing I want to talk to you about, again, is we have developers that are coming to us. We have business or property owners saying, this is what we'd like to do. But if we're not all speaking together and working together on that, it makes it really hard for us to say yes when somebody else says no. That's the second thing. And the third thing is, the village president has scheduled a parliamentarian workshop for the 26th of January at 6:30 p.m. I'd encourage you to attend that. I know from my other work on other boards in the community, when we've set some really good parliamentary procedures in place, following Robert's rules, doing things in a certain format, and if we can do them cohesively with the other boards, that we're all working together with for the common good of the village of Romeo, we can get amazing things done. And so I would encourage you to do that. I believe the person that's been hired to do that is not looking to have that go past 2 hours. So I would encourage you to block that time out on your schedule. We have new maps. This is a small one, but this is the DDA boundary. So this is the Central Business District. The one that we currently have up in the office is from 2005, so this is a huge improvement. The other one is going to be, it's like 16, it's huge. It's probably like 2 by 3 feet, something like that. So there'll be a couple of those, but these are helping us to be able to look at things literally from a bird's eye view and see how not only the parking, but just where the different pieces are on the monopoly board, if you will. And then we also, the other documentation that we have is where all of these different parking spots are specifically and who they belong to. And so what we'd like to do as a DDA is come up with a collective way that we can, so for example, if you are, let's say you're XYZ construction, right, and you have 10 parking spots, but you're only using those for a certain number of hours during the day. Could there be signage throughout the village that says after business hours, this is available for public use within these hours? Those are things as the DDA that we want to do. You have those collective signs. If you go to different communities, Lake Orion's a great example. They have phenomenal signage with that throughout their community in the downtown district that helps people understand specifically where they can and cannot park. So I think I might have been talking a bit fast. Does anybody have any questions?
What was the date of that meeting?
The 26th, January 26th, at the Wednesday at 6:30, and it's right here. Do I have any volunteers yet for this committee that I'm asking you to be part of? No, you don't have to answer.
Yeah, I'll go.
Oh, you will? All right, awesome. What is your name?
Nolan.
Nolan, okay. I don't remember when oh, yes, when you were doing all of the packages at the beginning of COVID. That's how I know you. Yes, exactly. So if there's a couple other of you, again, you don't have to be, I'll wait to call you till tomorrow at 8 a.m. to try to get, no, I'm kidding. But thank you for your time, and I'm looking forward to working with you guys and hearing back from people who are coming to us and saying, when they say, wow, the Planning Commission was very inviting, so thank you in advance. Thank you for your time. Yeah.
You said a study was done on parking. Who did the study? I didn't hear you.
Row.
Row. Okay.
Row.
I know Row.
And they're the same ones that are, which leads me to actually there was a fourth thing. The crosswalk project that's happening, there's going to be 5 different crosswalks, as you may or may not be aware of, within the downtown area. 2 that will be east and westbound on St. Clair, and then there'll be 3 going south on Main Street. So they're working, they're the same firm that is heading up that project. So.
Where are your meetings going to be held?
For the committee that I want to form, they can, most likely it would make sense to be here. But if it doesn't need to be here, we could do it at the Village Hall as well. So it would be a matter of, I guess, maybe 3-4 meetings at most. This isn't rocket science, so we don't, which I can't do anyways. So
Do you have copies of those maps that you just showed us there?
I do. These are the laminated ones, and I have several of those. Those I'm using for more inner office working and from my board meetings, but I can get copies to you. I can have Cindy give me all of your information, and I'll be happy to share this information with you for sure. And then our website's getting rebuilt, and all of this information will also be on there by the end of January. It'll be very user-friendly, and we'll be having all of the crosswalk project updates will be on there consistently, and it'll be linked to all of our social media as well, along with the school system. So, all right, thank you. Thanks for your time.
Okay. New business, Mr. Cass. Would you like to talk about a site plan review, please?
Yes, sir. How are you? Good evening, everyone. I don't know if the petitioner is here. I don't believe the petitioner is here to review our site plan, but I can go through my review and they can do whatever you wish to do. This is for a project. It's going to be on Washington Street. South of Washington on the east side of Denby. Mr. Farrell Homes is proposing 6 units, two two duplex buildings, six, on .77 acres of land. I've reviewed it in compliance with the zoning ordinance. It meets front yard, rear yard, side yard setbacks. The height of the building, it meets it, you'll see in my review. Parking requirements, it compliant with the ordinance requirements. Landscaping, they're showing a total of 36 trees and/or shrubs throughout the site, which is compliant with our ordinance. So based upon the review of the site plan, it meets the ordinance, so I'm recommending approval.
Okay, this is our only map, this guy?
There is a site plan you should have.
Yeah.
That one? You got the. Oh, okay, I'm looking right at it, all right, thank you, all right. Any comments from the commission members, any questions? Okay, anybody want to make a motion to
Make a motion, we approve the site plan review as stated.
support from Mr. Webb? Motion on the table to approve the site plan for whatever one we're on now. The Denby site plan. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I believe that's unanimous. All right, next item, agenda item is the Washington Street condominiums. Mr. Casson, you want to talk about that one too?
That's the same thing.
That
It's
is,
the
Is it the same thing?
Yep.
God, I'm losing it.
Right on the corner.
it's right on the corner. Jim,
Why are there
of
two
Washington
things?
and
Okay.
Denby.
All right, so we already talked about the special meeting for January 26th. We don't really need to talk about that again. Mr. Mike McDonald? Would you like to talk to us?
Church Street parking lot?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Happy New Year. So Christine asked that I come before you and provide a few of the highlights of the two parking lot alternatives that we have developed for the village at the Church Street site. And I believe they were provided in your packet, and we have them as alternative A and alternative B, I think, or concept A and B. And we tried to do a couple of different things there in discussions with Christine and Cindy to try and maximize the number of additional parking spaces that could be provided there, and consider those in conjunction with what is available or could be provided on the street parking there as well along the adjacent roadway. So we looked at that, we tried a number of different things, some angled parking and reconfiguring how the parallel parking is along Rawls, which currently is along the parallel parking is along the west side. So within the Church Street site, the layout is generally the same. The only thing that really changes is the location of the ADA space, which one of the options that we're calling A is in the northeast corner of the lot. The other is in the southwest corner of the lot. And we tried to maybe closer link it to the downtown area and the park to the south, and tried to run a sidewalk across the property to the south of it, but unfortunately there just isn't enough room between the back of curb and the right-of-way line, so we tried shifting it out into the roadway, as you see, and put some posts up so that is protected from the traffic within the roadway, configuring Rawls to one-way, and unfortunately, just you're going to lose spaces in order to do that, plus the sloping of the existing roadway is a little too steep. It's supposed to be 2%, 1.5% to 2% maximum for a walkway. Unfortunately, it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 2.5 to 3.5 from what we can see from the existing grade. So that isn't a good option for that, and plus you lose spaces. So we are recommending the alternative A, which would provide 14 spaces, including the one ADA space within the Church Street property, and then also will leave the 5 spaces, parallel spaces along the west side of Rawls Street in place. And then we also think we can get another 4 spaces on the east side of Rawls Street if we were to make that a one-way street, and the southbound direction. So in total, we would be able to add 18 spaces to that location that would help address some of the problems that Elizabeth mentioned a bit ago. Some of the other features that we had proposed adding is some decorative fencing and masonry columns around the north and the west side of the lot in lieu of landscaping. And since the site is rather limited, that was a way that we thought we could add a little bit of a decorative feature to it. So with that, if there are any questions or if there's anything else you'd like me to point out, Cindy, I'd be happy to do that. I think that covers everything that we talked about. But
So there is enough room to do a one-way between the post office building and the property itself? Is that what you're talking about?
it would be,
Street.
it would be along Rawls Street, yeah.
But you want to do parallel parking between those two?
Yeah, so the existing roadway is 30 feet from back of curb to back of curb.
On Rawls, right?
Yeah, along Rawls. So we would have a 12-foot lane in the southerly direction in the middle of the road, and then you'd have a 9-foot space, parallel space along each side of the road to accomplish the extra 4 spaces. You could leave it the way that it is with just the 5 along the west side and then 2-way traffic, but again, trying to maximize the number of spaces that was thought to be an option. And when we looked at angled parking, it's a few feet too short, not quite wide enough to provide the angled parking. It was 3 or 4 feet too tight, and I think would have just been problematic
So making that a one-way would make it hell of a lot easier getting in and out.
Correct, yeah, exactly.
So there'd be a do not enter sign on the corner of 32 and Rawls.
Sure.
I'm sorry, no, I mean from Church.
That's what
Church
makes
Road.
more sense though,
Church.
because coming out that way going south is so hard to make the lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Coming across, it actually makes
Yeah.
more sense, spin the one way going the other
Because
way.
coming out that way.
That makes
is
more
a
sense
bit-
going one way from south
Yeah.
to
32
north.
miles.
Yeah.
Because it's a
Put it
struggle
there.
there.
How many
Yeah,
more
it's hard to
spaces
get out of
did you
there.
say?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can.
it's hard to tell.
Okay,
So if you look at that part.
we can look at that. I
Thanks, Jay.
thought in conjunction with the park project, or trying to do something similar along that site, that the southbound was a better direction, but we can look at that again, but it'd be the
Yeah,
same concept.
Living here forever, you try to go south and try to make a left to head east on the 32-mile road.
Sure.
You get traffic coming at you, you're trying
Dangerous,
to
yeah.
turn, there's a turn, I mean, it gets busy there.
Okay,
Yeah, do not enter sign there would be. great.
yeah, there would certainly need to be additional signage in order
Yeah.
to accomplish that.
Thank you, Romeo, homegrown.
I like the idea with the angle parking and the
Yeah,
one
I
way
do too.
myself. I don't know what everyone else was thinking, but
Just eliminate the.
What impact
Take a look
is-
at the entrance, I'm sorry.
What impact is this going to have on the businesses and movement in town? People, I know when I go down there, you gotta jockey around a little bit to find a spot to park, or, I just, what impact will this have on the businesses in that area?
should give them 18 more spots.
Well, yeah, there'd be additional parking for sure. We did not do a traffic study, if you will, to determine what impact it may or may not have, but it just seems that with so many streets in, close proximity to one another, that it should not have, it should have a minimal impact to provide more parking, which is the ultimate goal.
Thank you.
Am I allowed to ask a question?
Sure, certainly.
I can, okay. Actually, question statement. With the one-way, a couple of you said switching the one-way, that's something we've been discussing at the DDA, because the developer who purchased for the old Observer Building and the Locks Cleaners, whatever they develop, if the flow flowed into Rawls going northbound as opposed to southbound, it will, whatever business, restaurant, retail, whatever might be in those spots would make a lot more sense for it turning in instead of trying to turn out of that space. The other suggestion would be, I'm on the library board also, if you don't know that, you could possibly change, if you all were, I think this would be under the planning commission, the parking on Church Street across from the library, in front of the church there, the old congregation.
Keys are?
Yes, the Keys Are Library, and in front of the post office. It used to be both sides, if you remember, probably it changed about 12, 13 years ago. But if you went, if the traffic flow changed northbound on Rawls, and then if the parking continued on that side of the street in front of the post office and the library, it would make that flow a lot better, because it doesn't make sense if you're coming west on Church Street, you can only park on the north side of there. Are you following me on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you changed it northbound, and then you're taking a right, you could have a couple of spots right there in front of the post office, and then directly in front of the library, the Keys Are Library. I know you would lose the spots on the other side if you continue to only allow parking on one side, but I'd like you to consider that as well, because as the flow would go, it would make sense to do that, so.
So flip it from the north to the south, yeah.
Mhm.
The fire lanes are on the left side of the street, aren't they?
I don't know, that's a good question.
Not necessarily, I know on Morton Street up here by the cemetery, it's on the right, which would be on the west side, so. I guess-
There used to be parking on
I guess
both
which side
sides.
you talking
Both
about?
sides?
There was. but
Oh, you're
then-
talking about that's Church Street?
Yeah.
Oh,
on the church. They're talking on the right side, but I should have.
yeah, I don't know, but I know they only park on the north though, right by the church.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's right, it used to be both sides.
So you're talking about parking right next to the library, right?
Yes.
Right,
Okay,
you're speaking to-
yeah,
Yes, mhm.
So you're gonna have parking on both sides?
I don't know that it would, I don't know why it was changed.
Well,
It's
I
only
go down
one
that
side on
street
that.
every day.
Pardon?
I go down that street every day, and it's a challenge. If somebody is parked in front of the post office on that lane,
Mhm.
it's scary, because you just, I'm not saying we shouldn't do it, but I'm just saying, everybody gets confused, and then you got people crossing the street all the time, and, I mean, I'm all for, you know what I'm talking about?
You wouldn't get much parking there anyway, because the entrance for this new parking lot is gonna be on Church. And then you
Okay.
have the alleyway between the library and the post office itself, and then you can't go
Right,
too
you still
close to
got-
the
right.
stop sign. So really, I don't know how much we would actually gain by putting the traffic on both sides of Church Street, putting parking on both sides of Church Street.
I don't think you could, because
I
of
don't
the
think
traffic.
you're
flow.
gonna
All
be
I'm
able
saying,
to-
you'd be swatching, flopping the deck, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay,
you
yeah,
choose a
'cause
side,
that-
make the flow go there,
Yeah,
Well, you're gonna lose parking that way, though.
maybe one spot.
You can make the south side.
You're gonna need
fire
more
lane.
room for people swinging. I think it would be better leaving Church Street on the north parking than the north side myself.
yeah, keep it on the north side,
Yeah.
and not mess with the south
Yeah,
side.
'cause by the time you have the opening here and give people room to clear, and then the alley, and then keeping people back from the stop sign, I don't think we would gain but a spot. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
Yeah, and the people blowing off, you know,
Yeah,
Main
'cause I
Street
mean, I
too,
lived there for a
coming
while.
around the
People
corner
down that
quick.
street, I saw it
Yeah,
there,
it's, right.
Yeah, it's a good point.
No, it's good, it's a good question, just,
Any other comments?
How many more spots did you say we would gain if we went one directional on Rawls?
We would gain another 4 spaces.
Okay.
So we would have spaces from the, adjacent to the park, just on that east side of the roadway, and run down to near where the driveway is to the home to the south.
Okay.
So we pick up another 4 spaces.
that's on the east side. of the
Correct.
road. Right, okay. That's not a bad idea. I think that was done for, you know, fire reasons at one time, wasn't it, Zach? Way back in the day?
South side of
Yeah, okay.
the street.
So now this way though gives us, they put those, you gotta put the reflectors in then, right? The delineator things, or that stick in the road, does that have to go up on these, on the one way? By the sidewalk area, or is there no sidewalk?
There is no sidewalk there, so yeah, so if there was like the other option, we did put those
Yeah,
in because we were
right.
trying to provide that separation, but we would just be using it for parking and the one-way roadway, so there wouldn't be the need to have that, just be striped.
Yeah, I don't
And
think
my
they'll
ends,
say they-
we'd have pavement markings with one-way and signage, as you folks mentioned, so.
if no one else had anything to say, I would say I'd make the motion to go with, I think we're calling it Plan B with the one-way, with flipping the traffic around to go one way from 32 Mile Road heading north one way only.
Second that.
This is just a review, right?
Yeah, we're just, we're not making,
I don't believe we're making a
taking
motion,
any
right?
action tonight.
No.
No action?
No.
That's it, they're not-
You're gonna come back with or contact Ms. Miller, who's gonna inform this body, or what's the next step? I mean, you're obviously briefing us of what you got here. So a final plan is gonna be basically what Mr. Foltz is saying?
Yeah, we can make a modification to incorporate the, final, we didn't show all the spaces in the one direction. This was just something that we wanted to discuss with you tonight before we took it too much further. So, yeah, we can come up with what we've just, a final plan based on what we've discussed tonight, next meeting, I presume,
Zach,
and,
And we'll bring it back to.
yeah.
Yes.
Zach, Christine asked Mike to come so he could just sort of give you guys an overview of what he was thinking and what's been sort of in the works to take before council.
Oh,
Okay, so she wanted to make sure that she got all of your
Appreciate it.
recommendations, you
You
know.
got input.
All right. That's what we came for.
Yeah. Thank you. So you're gonna basically get back with Christine and then present it back to this board so we can move to the council.
Good, okay, yep, we'll get that modified and,
Information over there. I think
okay, yeah, good suggestion.
all right.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, thank you.
Good job.
Anybody have any other?
I think
Okay, I'll call for a unanimous approval of an adjournment. All in favor? Or motion?
To adjourn.
We're good, everybody's good, okay.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right.